Today, we're going to be going over what I believe is the best everyday property investing advice. So let's grab a coffee and get right into it. So this is the investing strategy that the property gurus don't want to tell you about. You don't need to be chasing landlords trying to get rent-to-rent deals or lease option agreements. And you definitely don't need to be paying extortionate fees for their property courses with the promise of making you a property millionaire. I think this strategy is a great side hustle because you don't need to quit your day job to do it successfully. So what is the strategy? Well, it's pretty simple really. You buy a fixer, you do it up, and you sell it. But the trick, if you could even call it that, is that you live in it yourself. So all you're really doing is buying your own home, improving it, and selling it on. So step one is buy a fixer-upper, live in it, and do it up. By improving the property, you should add value. Then you can sell it and move on to a bigger property, and then it's just rinse and repeat. So let's go through a quick example just to make everything clear. Let's say you buy your first family home for £100,000 and put down a 10% deposit, so that's £10,000. So to buy the property, you've put £90,000 down from the bank and £10,000 of your own money. Now that you have the property and you're all moved in, you can start your renovation. So let's say you've done a lot of the work yourself and you've only spent £10,000. That's for a new kitchen and a bathroom and redecoration throughout. So that might seem like quite a low budget, but with lots of hard work, it's definitely doable. So at this point, you've got a fully renovated property and you spent around £20,000. You decide to put it on the market to sell and you get it appraised. That appraisal comes back at £130,000. So if we take that £130,000 figure and we subtract the £90,000 mortgage and the £20,000 that you put in, that leaves £20,000 of profit, minus any fees that you might have from solicitors, etc. That also now means that you've got £40,000 after the sale of the property that you can roll into your next property, snowballing it and making it bigger and bigger. Your aim might be to move up in property size every single time that you do this in order to increase the amount of profit that you'll receive each time as well. For example, if you're able to add 20% value onto a property, obviously that 20% equates to more monetary value the higher the price of the property. So for the property itself, you're probably going to want it to be a cosmetic fixer, especially if it's your first one. Look for properties like these. Basically, you want something that is dated. Ideally, you don't want to be adding extensions or knocking down walls. At least not for the first one, unless you already have experience with this and know what you're doing. Ideally, you want to be installing a new kitchen and bathroom, and then it should just be a case of decorating. So that will mean neutral colours for paint, carpets, and flooring. These are the places where you will be able to add the most value for the money and time you invest into the property, and therefore see the best return on your investment. It's also worth saying that if the property is modern and freshly decorated, then when you put it on the market, it should sell quicker. And it may even achieve a more premium price, especially if you have multiple interested parties. So like I said earlier, this is a good side hustle because you're just doing work on your own property when you have the time. So yeah, by buying a home to live in yourself, you need a smaller deposit, and that's more achievable for most people. Plus, another added bonus is that you're on a repayment mortgage. So if the concept of interest-only mortgages stresses you out, you can seek comfort in the fact that you're paying down your mortgage. So you won't have the bank coming looking for their loan back in 25 years as you'll have already paid off your property. Although if you follow this strategy through, you will have moved on to a new property and refinanced multiple times by then. So what are some other benefits of this strategy? Well, what's the worst case? If you decide it's not for you, then you've bought yourself a family home. Plus, you can do the work when you have the cash and the time because there's no pressure to finish the project early. It's your family home after all. It's not like you're losing money on an empty rental property, for example. This strategy may also allow you to buy in an area that's normally more expensive. If you're buying a more run-down property that needs more work, then you should be able to buy in an area that's a better location or potentially just a larger house. Of course, that's when compared to somewhere that you might have bought if you just wanted somewhere that was ready to move into. You won't have to pay capital gains tax on the profits that you make when you sell the property either. This is down to principal private residence relief. However, if you didn't want to sell, you could rent it out instead. You could probably get permission to let from the mortgage company. This might appeal to you if whilst renovating the first property, you built up enough reserves to buy another property. So you could let out your first property and buy and move into your new fixer. So by deciding not to sell, you're able to start building up a portfolio of properties that you rent out. And one of the best parts about all of this is that you're able to get started with a much smaller deposit than is traditionally needed when you want to do a buy-to-let. And in the process, you've added value to your property, so now it's worth more than what you originally purchased it for. So one final point to end on, this works best if you do as much of the grunt work yourself. This saves you money on labour and allows you to add value through sweat equity. However, if you're not qualified and confident with things like gas and electrics, then definitely get professionals in for that. It's definitely a good idea to get the right people in to do the big scary stuff. You want it done right, and so will your prospective buyer. However, when it comes to paint, tile, flooring, maybe a bit of basic plumbing, anyone can teach themselves the basics, and YouTube is a treasure trove of information. I also have a video on how you can potentially save an existing kitchen and do it up on a budget. I also have more projects like this coming. I'm just about to complete on my next rental investment. With this, I'm planning to show you the full process that I'll be going through whilst I get it ready to let to tenants. So if that's something you think might interest you, then make sure to subscribe because there's lots more to come. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. It's gone cold again.